So we will wait for 2 or 3 minutes and then we'll start. Okay, so good afternoon to everybody and welcome. I mean, I'm so delighted to see you all. I mean, even if it's going to be the last time, of course, we'll be meeting many of you all, at different locations, maybe during training programs and things like that. So welcome, welcome. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll start with this screen so that it becomes easier for us to connect. Welcome to the last session. I mean, this is going to be nice. We have got some content, then we'll have some explanation, then we can have some sort of questions and things like that before you wrap it up. Okay. I'm so glad. Welcome once again to your not get the opportunity. Ending of the screen till the time we are scheduling some other classes. So welcome and welcome to the last session. Okay, so now let's have a quick icebreaker. I expect you all to have a nice sheet of paper, any sheet of paper into any color, any size, even a newspaper, a full-scape paper, a colored paper, brown paper, whatsoever paper you got, just make a piece of that so that we'll let us follow the instructions. We'll do an icebreaker quick. Most of you have got a paper?
Yes, sir, we got.
Okay. Fine. Okay, so let's fold the paper into half. Let's fold the paper into half and tear off a piece from the middle. Now the second instruction is fold the paper again into half and tear off from the middle. Finally, fold the paper again into half and tear one part from the right hand corner. Now unfold the paper completely and hold it out in front of you and open your eyes. What do you see? What do you see? I mean, the paper which I've got looks something like this. How many of you have got something like this? It could be any paper. Can you all lift the paper up so that we are able to see? Yes, Mayuri. Yes, Daisy. Yes, Anil. Yes, Oindrila. Yes, Jagannath ji. Yes, Monica. Pallavi. Rajiv Kumar. Deepu. Bharti. Sunil. So, did you all get a paper something like what I'm holding? or is it different? Jagannath ji, do you think it is the same or it is different? Dindal ji, do you think it is the same or it is different? Vinod,
Sir, it's
Mona Lisa.
different for me. It's different.
Okay, okay, fine, fine. Absolutely no problem. All of us are creative and you have torn a good sheet of paper. Absolutely nothing to worry. So we'll go back to the screen so that I'll be able to explain to you what exactly we were planning to do, you know. Yes, what did you see? I mean, you're able to see the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
okay. Identify how many participants have the sheets of paper which are exactly the same. Many of y'all will not have the sheets of paper which are the same. Why? Was there something wrong in the instructions? Or did our perception or our hastiness cause the error? There could be multiple factors which go into this system while you're giving out instructions. Did I say vertical? Did I say horizontal? Did I say a specific size of a paper? What did I say? Did I say A3? Did I say A4? Did I say newspaper? So specifications were not given. So we were trying to play up with general instructions and I was playing with your perceptions. Perceptions is the way you thought what I have said. Maybe I was doing it vertically, you were doing it horizontally. Maybe you're doing it on a square paper, I was doing it on a rectangle paper. So multiple things would happen. So these restrictions on asking the questions will have an activity with the creativity affecting the end results. So the debrief of this icebreaker is, this is a wonderful exercise and you'll be able to see this on YouTube also. You'll be able to see that the receivers of communication have their own perception. As a facilitator, as a trainer, we need to encourage people to think. Let them think specifically out of the box. Let them be spontaneous. Let them see through a different lens. No problem. Finally, we could take all the perceptions, thoughts, action, creativity, intuition, initiative, and moderate or debrief, taking time to think from the receiver's perspective, from Jagannath ji's angle, from Vinod's angle, from Mayuri's angle, from Monalika's angle, from multiple angles, if you are saying. So we'll be able to find out how time can make the communication effective. People who have seen, people who have shown, and people who have just seen, actually, who have just observed the exercise. Absolutely, please understand, as a facilitator, you got a very broad area for appreciating each and every one. There is no leaving out anyone. Even if 2 people have done it from a lot of 60 people, still you'll say well done, because you need to keep the tempo going on and it has to be well done at all possible times. Today, our agenda would be handling this few things, from basically they are pullouts or they are extracts from our last unit 6 or module 6 as we call it. So we will have certain tips on presentation skills. We will talk about how we handle question and answers, how we deal with certain distractions and contingencies. If you have certain issues of content, how do you manage? Donald Kirkpatrick's level of evaluation. How do we review a program? Assessments and certain amount of glossary. So this would actually be tossed in so that we are able to understand. So we'll be doing a lot of things, and your content which will be shared to you today evening will be slightly more than this, because we'll not be able to put in all the content on visible mode today. So please understand, as a facilitator, you need to continuously inspire people, not to show them as superpowers, but to see that, let them show you theirs. So you empower others to empower themselves and develop themselves. That's what a facilitator is all about. So where are we now? When you talk about where are we now, let us turn these challenges into opportunities. We need to understand every challenge in a participant, in a learner, in your team, whoever you're facilitating, should be converted to an opportunity. It has to be a mindset which needs to go in through a gradual change to do something positive. Let's set the ground rules, whether it is online, whether it is offline, whether it is on-site, whether it is hybrid, multiple things. So this is almost like a wrap-up. Even if you have seen this earlier, this is more like a wrap-up or a recap. It would be arriving and starting and finishing on time. So you should be as good as be prepared to arrive, start, and finish on time. Sharing your thoughts and be open to new things. There's a lot of learning happening. I'm learning a lot of things from you, and you could be possibly learning a few things from me. All contributions, each and every contribution is absolutely valid. Whether you agree to disagree or whether you disagree to agree, we need to come to a common standpoint to create a success in each participant. Don't take yourself too seriously. Please do not be too serious. Whether it is training, whether it is facilitation, it should be fun. It should be enjoyable, and you should make the best opportunity out of it, because Jindagi Na Mile Dobara, that event, that scenario, that role play, that storytelling, that moment of interaction, that methodology, what you're using for that participation will not happen again. So be human, learn to have fun. Let us refine and let us redefine it all. Okay. Now let's see what the Donald Kirkpatrick's training model says. I'm sure that many of you are already aware, and most of you are actually doing it. It's a pyramid format where we start from level 1, which is very broad. You're able to understand how did the participants feel about the training program. When you talk about this, the reactions, the responses need to be captured. Maybe basic interactions, basic questions, maybe a what you call a preliminary questionnaire which you're sharing with them, maybe about the environment, maybe about the air conditioning, maybe about the lighting, maybe about the feel factor, maybe about the agenda which has been shared to them, maybe about how it overall looks like, so that's basically we need to capture the reactions. Now this would slightly go on narrowing when you go on to level 2. When you're finished with level 1, that's getting the absolute reaction and seeing that everyone is settled and everyone is comfortable, we go on to level 2. That's the learning phase. It's known as RLBR. So now level 2 is learning. To what extent did the participants improve the knowledge, skills, and change attitudes as a result of the training? Did you do job talk? Did you do demonstration? Did you do simulation? Did you do role plays? Did you do reversal of role plays? Did you do a storytelling? Did you do a case study evaluation? Did you do a scenario discussion? Did you use some sort of games, maybe supervisory games, leadership games, communication games, team building games, assertiveness games, conflict resolution games? What sort of knowledge, what sort of skills, what sort of change has been visible enough? Now, this is all needed when you talk about facilitation. It's need to be absolutely in connect with your agenda. Your connect with the agenda means it should be in sync with the title or the theme of your facilitation session whatsoever. Now, the moment this evaluation is done, you could have evaluation for each of these levels: evaluation for reactions, evaluation for learning, evaluation for behavior, evaluation for results. Till the time you get a proper response, a proper evaluation which is done, you can't go on to the next level. I mean, it's absolutely required that you go from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 and then to level 4. Level 3 becomes slightly more narrower. To what extent did the participants change their behavior back in the workplace as a result of the training? Certain intervention, certain modular intervention, certain initiatives, certain programs, certain content, certain behavior should go in through a chain. There has to be some sort of a development or a capability enhancement so that you will go back to your job role, to your team in a better manner, which is you're better in knowledge, you're better in skills, you're better in attitude, and you're better in the overall way how you're going to do things due to the training, because you picked up certain things, certain tricks, certain tips, certain criteria which makes you better. Now, the moment you finish level 3, you're at the top of the pyramid. That's level 4. What the organization benefits resulting from the training. All trainings, all facilitation has got one specific imperative. The imperative is organization needs to survive, organization needs to sustain, organization needs to thrive. So along with our growth, organic growth, that is organizational growth, and the personal and professional growth should be there in terms of performance, productivity, return on investment, and things like that. So this is a wonderful diagram. I mean, there are a lot of changes and applications which have happened gradually, improvisations which have happened on this Kirkpatrick model. But this is a sort of a legendary model which has been working out very well. The way you evaluate whether you're using a specific software or an Excel doc or maybe a formula or a metric, that is independently up to you or your organization, how best you could do that so that you're able to get the results. You are able to do the mapping and find out actually what differences the employees or your team has brought back to the table. Now let's see how we are going to deal with difficult participants in a training session. Let's see what difficult participants are. I'm going to do two parts actually. We are going to see how we are going to deal with difficult participants, number one, and we are going to say how we are going to have participants who handle difficulties. They are two different things. Handling difficult participants and handling the difficulties faced by the participants. Both could be possible during any training session. Now we have got multiple types of people who actually are there, I mean, multiple types of people when you talk about, I mean, there is no specific order actually. We could have, I mean, these names are available in the Google or in different readings or different research. It could have different patterns, different names. I mean, of course, whatever you like, you make it as interesting and as creative as possible when you're creating a presentation so that it becomes easier for you to establish the connect. So there is no specific order. 1, 2, 3, 4. This has to come first. That has to come slower. This has to come in this manner. This has to be worded like this. Absolutely nothing. We will deal with individual criteria, individual category of participants, the way I put it. There may be a different order. There is no specific chronological order. Let us try and see how best it works. Now, before you do all those things, this is a specific technique which is known as the parking lot technique. What is the parking lot technique?
Park a question for later, for explanation. For later.
Very good, Mayuri. Very good. Any other inputs?
So that the session doesn't get hampered and it's running on time, so that we can ask the question later effectively.
Very nice, Apurva. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayuri. Thank you, Apurva. Absolutely wonderful. You have a lot of people who start the process. The moment the session starts, they're ready with their questions. पता नहीं उनको कहाँ से मिल जाता है, but they would like to either start the session themselves, or they would like to feel more important, or they would like to disturb or disrupt the session, or maybe they are genuine also. So as a trainer, as a facilitator, your role is just like a traffic policeman. You need to park the question. Jagannath ji, I'm coming to you. So the moment you see this sort of a disruption happening, something like that, you need to take charge, be assertive, be polite, be sensitive, and tell them that this question can be considered maybe during the break, or maybe at the end, after the slide, or after the session, or after the module, or whatsoever. Yes, Jagannath ji, go ahead, please.
So what I wanted to ask is, when we are talking about the difficult participants, what about the outliers? Maybe the trainer may find the participants as the difficult participants, but there could be some outliers as well, isn't it? They may even add the value to the training content or maybe the training program. What about them, sir?
Yes. There are many. Jagannath ji, one thing we need to understand, we need to appreciate, we need to, commend the people who are going to add value to the training. But please understand, Jagannath ji or any of the trainers or facilitators, all of us are trainers and facilitators. The moment you are supposed to be in charge, there is a specific decorum, there is a specific protocol, there is a specific system. You can empower each of them, but the moment you will allow valid opinions, valid suggestions, valid additions, valid improvements, all appreciated. But the moment you start encouraging other people whom you think have given a valid point, very good. but you will not allow them to take charge. You will not allow them to take charge because you are in charge. You are the facilitator, you are the trainer, and you need to give them a respective place for that specific time and not allow them to go throughout, because then it will change the sequence of the whole program. I mean, the program is going to be handled by Jagannath ji, and suddenly you find Suhas or Vinod or Anil or Mayuri giving in their comments, and then you encourage them, you empower them, you congratulate them, you motivate them, have their viewpoints, appreciate, and all those things. But that will be with a certain limitations within the purview of the training program. So is that fine, Jagannath ji?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you,
okay.
sir.
Okay. Okay, so now let's see this steamroller. Everyone knows what's a steamroller. Steamroller is something like a road roller, which puts on the concrete, tar, and they make roads and things like that. So something which flattens out a lot of things. So now when you see this persona, the persona of this participant or this trainee is actually argumentative. The steamroller is basically throws out a lot of steam. These people actually are looking for an opportunity to disagree with whatever you say, whatever the trainer says, whatever the facilitator says, or pick at an idea, make a personal attack, not letting off the own idea to hear about others. Irrespective whether they are right or you're right, or they are wrong or you're wrong, they are argumentative. They want to go into a mode where they will try to disagree with whatever you say. They will try to have their own point of view or make a personal attack. Please understand, arguments at all levels, whether it is personal or professional, is absolutely lost. The moment you get into the heat of the argument or into the tempo of the argument, the purpose is defeated. As a facilitator, we need to be very clear that the ground rules are being followed and arguments do not have a purpose unless until there is possibly some visible element. If there is a visible element, please pick it up, appreciate, and stop it at that, because let it not continue. You have a time mandate, you have a timeline, you have a specific mandate to go. So how do we handle them? Change the participants' focus. See that the participants' focus changes. When you talk about participant focus, let the participant, try to deviate from that so that you do not give much importance to that person. Agree with their ideas. You be a bit assertive, agree with their ideas if they are appropriate to a certain extent. Toss that specific related question or that idea from the person to the group of trainees or the group of participants, and ask them what they think. Automatically, when you neglect that person, when you put this question for others, the importance of that person will reduce and the group will be empowered to give in their individual inputs. Ask the participants to discuss it with you later and continue the training. Don't push them, because they will only get worse. To add fuel to the fire. See that you can attend to it. Maybe if they're able to understand, it's great. If they still continue, parking lot is the best. That's why I put the parking lot picture first or the slide first. Keep your own sense of self-confidence. The moment you start losing your confidence whatsoever and the argumentator takes over, you have lost the battle. And recognize their feelings. Appreciate everyone as an individual. Emotions, ego, mood. I mean, all those things are there. Appreciate, recognize their feelings and move on. Acknowledge something positive. Please understand, everything has got something positive from any argument to a certain extent. Please accept that and go ahead. The next one is Casper. So when you talk about Casper, this persona is basically withdrawn, shy, silent, introversion. He or she does not like, to interact with people. They are slightly shy. They need to be prodded, or they need to be provoked sometimes. So they may act indifferent at times or passive. It's not deliberate, but they are like that. They may not get involved in a discussion. They may be busy looking into the mobile, maybe doodling, maybe whispering slowly to some people who are sitting close by, getting off the subject because they're not being part of that, and they lack self-confidence. Now, this is a couple of things which are noticed in this profile. So when you're noticing this sort of a profile, when people are silent or withdrawn or shy, or they're whispering to others or things like that, or they do not lack they don't have the level of self-confidence, in that case, what you need to do is persuade the participant. These participants, you need to empower, motivate, encourage them to get involved and contribute to the decision. You make them feel that their contribution, their response is equally important for the discussion. Get ideas in advance from withdrawn for the withdrawn participants. Sometimes you get a feeler that this guy seems to be withdrawn because he or she doesn't tend to see you. He or she avoids your gaze. He or she tends to do something which is, like a lack of interest. So if it's possible, try to interact personally whenever there's a break or whenever there's a pause. Try to get some ideas so that those ideas, if you get in advance from these people, they will feel slightly better when you mention this and give them an opportunity. Have the participants share the ideas with someone else. If they're not comfortable answering you, maybe their neighbor. You can encourage the neighbor using that name. Sunil, could you get in connect with Ashwin and see what he's got to say? Mayuri, get in connect with Ashwin and see what he has got to say. The moment you're enabling, he or she feels, Ashwin feels more comfortable because Mayuri is part of the participant and he is also part of the participant, or Sunil is also part of the participant. So something like that. So then that connect back to the group is there. Ask the participant open-ended questions. Let them answer. Let it not be yes, no, maybe, could be, sometimes, no, and all that. Let it be open-ended. Let there be expression of thought. Let there be expression of ideas. Let there be a perspective sharing. Ask questions they can answer. Give them simple questions, give them a lead so that they can answer, and give positive reinforcement for any of their contribution. Wow, wonderful, amazing Ashwin, amazing Sunil. I mean, these are the way you got to give continuously a positive reinforcement. Let them help set up the material and equipment before the session. If you feel, I mean, when you're seeing the body language, sometimes you're early there. This is one of the suggestions. This is not actually a sequence. These are tips. Maybe you'll involve one of the steps or multiple steps. You may see that some of them are slightly, they are seated and they are very keen, but they don't want to participate because they're shy. Help them to put a couple of flip charts, put in a couple of posters, maybe write down a good slogan or a quote or something like that, and they feel empowered and motivated. Make eye contact with them, make them feel nice and comfortable. The third one is the sniper. When you talk about the sniper, now the sniper is basically someone who's very aggressive, someone who would like to shoot out the moment you say something, going after the ideas in a critical or an unkind manner, blaming the other, being hostile, getting angry, getting violent, and putting down ideas or the status. Now, this is the way they are. I'm not relating it to defense, but it's more like, you're ready to attack. So this, I mean, many a times you'll find many of these roles overlapping each other also. So you'll have to put them, I mean, you'll have to see that they are also comfortably being tackled. Stay calm and keep our cool. Stay calm and keep our cool. Do not lose patience. Be cool, be sober, be organized. Be nice so that you appreciate them. You appreciate their existence and you're going to give them the due value. I see you have strong opinions. Let's hear what the others say. Put the ball in the group's court. When you have a group of participants, you take that opinion, paraphrase it, rephrase it, and put it on to the others and ask for their opinion. Automatically, you will have the group responding. Respond to the whole group rather than addressing only to that person. Do not give importance only to that person. You can look at that person and generally gaze over at others. Remain absolutely cool, composed, and neutral without being too exhibitive of your emotions, however bad or however violent or however aggressive the remark has been. 4 is a nagging nanny. Nagging nanny. So when you talk about the nagging nanny, it's basically someone who complains, someone who continuously talks, finds faults, blames you, complains, is being unfair. There is an expression that they are not very happy with the way things are. This continuously constant nagging is there. And do this, do this, do that, do this, do that. This is not correct. This is not, it could have been like that. Multiple things where you're continuously being nagged. Some of our bosses are like that. So you need to be very careful when you're handling these people. So how do we handle them? Shift the gears for a few minutes and try problem solving. rather than get the complete idea about the full sentence or the conversation or the interaction or something like that, is it possible to identify, and if there is a problem, look into that problem. What is it about? What is the nagging all about? Is it relating to a task? Is it relating to an activity? Is it relating to a specific assignment? Is it relating to a specific project? Is it related to a specific commitment? Is it related to a timeline or a deadline? We need to find out problems. Be patient with the participant. You need to be patient, because the moment you lose your temper, or you become angry, or you become aggressive, you lost the battle. As a facilitator, you need to have that big ice block on your head. Absolutely. Commit to getting the person to focus on solutions. Bring the person, get him or her into the mold, and ask him or her to be specific, brief, specific, and you will be able to address, with that person's support, the problem actually in the context of the conversation which has been happening. Identify the key points of the training. Even if you have to interrupt, there might be a whole storyline. People love making stories, creating stories. The problem will be very small, but the storyline will be very huge. So let us identify the key points, put it on a flip chart. Put it on a flip chart, let him or her say, you have the group to respond, and together you could add key points so that you'll be able to find out a solution or an answer to the problem. Shift the focus to a solution rather than a problem. So let it be agreeable, let it be on a consensus, let it be on an acceptable mode. Then we have a dictator. Now this is another category, multiple categories are there. So we have a dictator. Now when you have a dictator, now this guy tends to put you down. This guy or this lady would love to put you down, try to belittle you, try to hurt you, try to tell you something which is very different. So now discouraging anything new or different it'll never work. The participant says, what you're saying, sir, what you're saying, ma'am, it'll never work. We tried that once and it was a failure. Possibly this exercise, this interaction, this strategy, this intervention may have been a failure at his or her workplace, or at his or her section, or maybe in his team or her team. But it need not be so for the others. He is trying, she is trying to disrupt the proceeding. So what you're going to do is, there are certain tips on how you're going to handle. Ask how the rest of the group. The best way is to involve and engage the group, because you're working with clusters, you're working with groups, you're working with different sets of people. So you will get fresh, fertile thoughts. Ask the person to offer a replacement idea. Once you and the group has helped you to find out a problem, ask the person concerned whether he can offer a replacement, how that problem could be replaced in terms of finding a solution or an alternative or doing it better. Tell the participant the idea is a possibility and ask the others for their viewpoint. The person who's actually into this mode will definitely love to share his or her perspective. Put it on to the group, put it on to the people who are your participants, and they would love to add their viewpoints. Focus on the discussion and do not deviate. Now, next is a politician. Now, this is a very common thing, would be very talkative and things like that. Now, when you talk about this person is very talkative, does not relinquish the floor or monopolizes the conversation, he or she makes his or her presence felt. Very talkative, very demanding, very dominating, and things like that. So that's basically a characteristic. They're very persuasive at times. They're very motivating at times. They're very empowering at times. They're very talkative at times. Tips to handle them. Refer to the ground rules of respecting timeliness and listening. Please make it very clear the moment the conversation starts and you feel that there's no end, because these people, just like just like college lecturers or teachers, where they love talking, the moment you give them an opportunity to talk, there is no time limit, and they could actually disrupt the whole show. So you need to be very careful. You need to be very firm on the ground rules of respecting the timelines and listening. Be polite, be firm, be assertive, talk about the timelines, and talk about the importance of listening. Use non-verbal signals, maybe a gesture, a glancing at our watch or glancing at the wall clock or something like that to indicate our concern that time is important and we need to give space to everyone, and it needs to be wrapped up. The conversation with that from that specific person needs to be wrapped up. If it still continues, approach the participant, speak privately with the participant to seek an understanding of what the customer wants. When you talk about all these participants or all these people, all these participants are customers actually. You need to fulfill every need of the customer. So this sort of a person is very important. Give him or her his respect, importance, and actually try to find out his lens or his perspective and answer as per that. Now, this is an influencer. Now, this is another category of a participant who is an influencer. Now, who is an influencer? An influencer is basically who clowns around and disrupts the team's effort to come to a conclusion or calls attention to self. Maybe a smart wit, or maybe something he would like to joke, or maybe something like that. He tends to grab the attention. Maybe he or she's got a wonderful voice, maybe amazing vocabulary, amazing diction, and things like that. So he or she would love to disrupt the team by bringing in attention, by saying something or acting in a specific way. It could be a mimic, it could be a joke, it could be a dialogue, it could be a shairi, it could be anything like that, and call attention to self. Now, tips to handle is shift the focus to the task at hand. Absolutely understand, as a facilitator, you need to encourage. But if you're going to encourage everyone, your perspective, the purpose for what you have been here for the facilitation exercise will be lost. Restate the purpose of work. You need to be very careful what the purpose of the work is, what the focus is all about, and what the discussion is all about. Ask how the interruption or the behavior relates to the topic. Make it very clear, very nice, smilingly, in a very welcoming manner. Let them know that the behavior concerned or the interruption concerned is not absolutely welcome. Call on the person for a serious dialogue to show that he can contribute. Give them importance, give them the privilege to share, decide, deliberate, discuss, and create a meaningful dialogue. Ask, I missed out the point because of our joke. Could you give me our point straight? Now, here you give him or her the importance, but see that the perspective is collective in the interest of the whole group. Reward the serious side of the person by complimenting desired behavior. Wow, wonderful, amazing, well done, point well taken. These sort of things could be done, and the person feels elated when you tell them the good. A tyrant. Now we're going to the tyrant. The arrogant. They're basically arrogant. They're highly assertive. And please stop annotating, please. They are highly assertive, outspoken, intends to get things done in the way they know best, and are very controlled and self-assured. The tips to handle them: know the subject matter or the content. Restate the participant ideas. Agree with the parts of these ideas. Present ideas using words, the magic word like maybe, perhaps, or I wonder if. Use we or us rather than you, I. Make it collective. Make it a group effort. Use questions to get expanded ideas. Genius. Now, this guy is this person is basically who thinks he is the best, a genius, knows all. The profile or the characteristic is claims to know much more than you do about the topic and give the impression that he or she should be leading the training. Their constant attention seeking can take up time and energy. So the know-it-all attitude. How do we handle these people? Flatter their ego to a certain extent, but be careful to give them their floor not for too long. I mean, once they have it, you'll find it difficult. So see that you give them time to discuss, engage, tell their viewpoint and things like that, or else you'll find it difficult to take it back from them. Ask them to tell the group what they know about a topic and then follow up with some probing questions to reveal what they don't know. You can succeed in humbling their ego a little bit. Get them to teach the others. The moment you empower people, they feel happy and encourage the group to ask difficult questions which could show up gaps in their knowledge. Take them aside and directly ask why they are here to discover information on how best the information that can help you manage them. So always be collective, be group focused, be in the best interest of all the participants. Now, this is another interesting area, clown. Many of these participant categories would overlap or seem similar to each other. Now, this is basically they are insecure, they love to tell jokes, they make light of serious material, and they try to distract the other participant. This could be a very popular feature when they tend to do all those things, and you need to be very, very careful on how to handle these people. Ask them to share a joke and try to get a perspective out of it. That much needed humor lightens the atmosphere sometimes. Have a private chat. Just to check that they are taking things seriously deep down. Be very careful. The chat should not hurt the person. Involve them in roles that keep them busy and focused and away from disruptive. Bring out a storytelling session, have a role play session, make them participate in those roles, make them share a story whatsoever, so that they are engaged in something nice, focused, interesting, and useful rather than disruptive. Now, this is the most difficult, and this is where people normally avoid. I feel that this is one of the most important things we have been doing about how to handle difficult participants, but we need to find out how we can handle the difficulty faced by our participants. Now, the persona is, please consider all participants like a sponge. Every participant, every learner, every student, every trainee, it has come with a specific purpose. Learning, gaining knowledge, to do a better, to develop a better skill, to become more competent, to do the task. Later,
Sir, you are on mute.
you all can see the screen?
Yes, we can.
I don't know. Suddenly I got ejected out and then back in. I'm not sure. But then, okay, you all are able to see the earlier slides also, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because then I was suddenly ejected out of this slide. The slide went off. I really don't know why. And there was some annotation happening and things like that. Fine, let us continue. So we have, participants falling sick, maybe someone who's had an accident, someone who got hit by something, or maybe a minor accident, maybe an auto rickshaw went over his leg or something like that. Maybe there could be instances where participants are bullied. Maybe there are participants who who have faced something unfortunate at home. Maybe someone is sick, someone is hospitalized, there's been a death in the family, but still is attending the training. So compassion. And very rare, God forbid, this should never happen. Someone who's dying either before the training, during the training, or at the venue, something like that. You need to address this in top priority. So a couple of things is avoid panic. These are few pointers. Avoid panic, be cool and focused. Now you need to be very focused because you're a facilitator, you're like a leader. People have respect for you. You can take charge. So avoid panic. Be cool, be focused, be practical and take action, whatsoever the action is. In case it's a fire, it would be something different. In case it's an injury, it would be something different. In case it's basically an injury, it would be something different. In case it would be a death, it would be something different. But informing all the necessary people, protocol-wise, getting the company into the loop, getting the security into the loop, maybe getting the fire brigade, the ambulance, the police, multiple agencies depending on how it needs to be done. The priorities can be shared by the company HR or the person who's part of the host, who's part of the session maybe, or you could get that person online and connect and deal with that. Handle the situation and the event very tactfully. Alert the authorities concerned. You need to be very focused in having the event being handled tactfully. Use appropriate behavior and approach to solve, support, resolve the issue or concern, because people have got expectations from you. People are looking at you. People are going to follow certain instructions because they are part of your training program or your facilitation program. Please understand, not everyone will believe in you. Not everyone will support you. If you have a vision you're passionate about, you must be your own cheerleader and learn to clap for yourself. Please understand, clapping, feeling happy, feeling delighted, feeling excited is all about training and facilitation. You need to be understanding that at all points of time, every person, all of us, each of us, needs to understand that we are all amazing individuals. The facilitator's perspective, the trainer's perspective. 4 core factors which need to be taken into consideration is the learner characteristics. You need to know what the learner is about, what the expectations of the learner are, what the objectives of this facilitation or training program is all about, what the outcomes are, what is the demographics of this person, personally, professionally, education-wise, experience-wise, job role-wise, facilitation theme-wise, and things like that. The content. How is the content? When you talk about content, whether it's a presentation, whether it is a poster, whether it's a video clip, whether it is activities, what is part of the content needs to be very clear. The resources available at hand, whatever the resources, whether it is internet, electricity, markers, maybe balloons, maybe ribbons, maybe ropes, maybe buckets, maybe blindfolds. Depends on what sort of things you're going to use. Maybe papers, maybe stick-me-ups, all sorts of resources, offline, on-site, virtual, collaboration tools, and things like that. Assessments, formative assessments, continuous assessments, summative assessments, integrative assessments, infinity assessments, parametric assessments, Kirkpatrick type of evaluation. Multiple things you could need to know when you're considering any training module or any facilitation module. Now, this is another beautiful thing which I love picking it up from. Here it shows how your things, it looks more like a mind map, but it's something beautiful. Learner characteristics, talking about goals and talking about multiple things like diversity. You have the assessments, you have the resources, you have the learner support, you have the content, you have the skills. Absolutely, you are able to project many things. Even you all would be able to add a lot of balloons to this or a lot of bubbles to this and expand this mind map. That's basically what training or facilitation is all about. Considering behavior, content, resources, evaluation, assessments, methods, techniques, tools. The support, the engagement, the feedback, so many different things, the skills, the type of format which you're doing it on, everything will be part of this different setup to create a unique, wonderful, curated and exclusive model or module for training or facilitation. You're amazing again. Now, this is certain things you need to understand. Sometimes the slides are put in repeated so that you're able to motivate. Here's a rainbow of wishes to start your day. Always, every training, I request you all, if you're able to put something like this on the slide, irrespective whether it is an online or an offline, I use this sort of slides even on an offline lecture. When I'm taking a lecture live or when I'm taking in person, I still do it because people feel very nice when they think about happiness, health, peace, blessings, love, positivity, hope, multiple things that makes them feel cheer up. Okay. Please understand to reset, readjust, restart, refocus as many times as you need to. Have a great day ahead. How motivated are you? The connect with the God, the trusting of the Lord, whatever name you give. It could be Jesus, it could be so many of our Hindu gods, it could be absolutely any faith for that matter. Maybe a satsang, maybe a bhajan, maybe an instrumental, maybe a prayer, maybe whatsoever. Whatever brings you connect will help you to feel motivated and make your sessions much better. Start now, start where you are, start with fear, start with pain, start with doubt, start with the hand shaking, start with the voice trembling, but start and do not stop. Start where you are with what you have, but just start. There is everything which has got a new beginning, a new start, a new beginning. So this is basically what you need to follow. Follow multiple things so that you're able to do a wonderful job out of the training which has been assigned to you, or the facilitation module which you're going to take across. Remember, you're ready. Be happy with what you're doing. Sometimes you might feel like a lonely warrior, but always remember there are people, there are friends, collaboration, connect, talk to people, pick up the phone, connect with trainers, connect with facilitators before you actually go on. Jagannath ji, I'll come to you. Before you actually go on to doing the delivery, there would be youngsters, there would be maybe a new topic, maybe a new module. You need new content, maybe an idea, maybe a suggestion, maybe an icebreaker, maybe a game, maybe a new technique. Let it be very primitive, no problem. Let it be legendary, let it be concurrent, let it be contemporary, whatever it is. Learn to be happy and do not worry. Wonderful suggestions. And many a times when you talk to people, friends in this circle or in this circuit, outside ISTD, trainer fraternity, teacher fraternity, educators, lecturers, motivators, public speakers, toastmasters, facilitators, coaches, mentors, owners, managers, leaders, all could give you different ideas. Whoever is approachable, just pick up the phone, maybe text that person and ask for ideas. You will be surprised at the voluminous data which you get, and then curate what you want and deliver. Yes, Jagannath ji, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. You made mention about the assessment, formative, continuous, and summative. Formative and summative we know, but what about the formative and continuous? How to differentiate in this?
Formative is something where you're doing your, like something like your multiple choice, or basically you're giving an assignment, some online assignment, or maybe there's something like, maybe a poll activity, or maybe some sort of an assignment, or maybe some sort of a pre-work. Like for example, you do 2 sessions and you give them pre-work at the end of session 2 and tell them to be prepared on session 3. That could be maybe a multiple choice question, maybe a quiz, maybe a thematic appreciation, maybe a subject judgment, maybe a case study, maybe a discussion over a scenario, maybe an NLP exercise. So the moment you create some sort of an assessment, you use some sort of a metric or a rubrics to evaluate in terms of numbers, scores, or grades, that becomes formative. Something like in school, what we call unit test and midterm and this thing and like that. Even during a training sessions, if you have got huge training sessions, which are spread across multiple sessions, this is identified. And summative is just something like your exams. At the end of the end or the completion of the training, You could maybe circulate certain tools, techniques, research instruments, maybe questionnaires, maybe detailed inputs, maybe a post test, multiple things
Can
you
you
could use
say
to
that
train.
the internal assignments that we had submitted during this course going on, is that the formative or
Assignment would be
continuous?
more, I mean, as far as the subject is concerned, that would be more like a formative, and your exams would be more like summative.
Okay, okay, thank you.
And for the whole course, if you say the project report, which is going to be there after the last semester, would be
Third
definitely
semester,
a
yeah.
summative project and something which is most interesting.
Right. Thank you very much, sir.
Welcome, welcome. Now, these are contingencies. Contingencies are problems. Please understand, facilitator should have a broad vision, a broad mind, an open mind, should be neutral, unbiased, not perceptual, think out of the box, come out with suggestions the way it is applicable. You have a projector issue. Suddenly you have a projector issue. What do? I mean, this happened with me a couple of times. You know, certain areas I was teaching something, the LCD projector went off. Earlier we had the slide projector, we had the overhead projector that goes off. So if you're in a classroom, you're lucky, because if you're in a classroom and if you're seeing people, it's an in-person event, no problem. Projector issues, no problem. Ask for a couple of flip charts, ask for a whiteboard, or maybe there's a green board or a blackboard. If nothing is there, maybe a long book, sheets of paper, maybe some newspapers, maybe some old magazines. You can freak out. Give them some scissors, give them some gum, give them some markers, create multiple games using those things. You know, you could maybe add some music or some song, maybe a dance, maybe a musical chair, multiple things you could do actually. You know, you could actually synchronize or do a karaoke event also. So projector event, absolutely no problem. If it works, it's good. If it doesn't work, I mean, what I do is, if the session is important, I take down notes and I have the complete PPT print out in black and white with me. So at least certain keywords, which I may not recollect, I can always use the slide printout and write it down, or engage the trainee or the participant to write it down. Features of active listening. People will give their own ideas. In fact, you'll be surprised. I had only 4. But the moment Jagannathji came in and Vinod came in and Mayuri came in and Dipu came in, I got another 4 more. So now for my next training, I'll have 8 features of active listening. So something like that. Next is system compatibility issues. I mean, now this is a technique. Normally, it may happen online or offline. Online, we can understand. I mean, if there's an internet issue or an electricity issue, maybe if you've done most of the session, no worries. A part of that can be ignored because you don't have a choice. The internet goes off, the electricity goes off, you don't have a choice. But if we have just started and the system goes off or the internet doesn't work, maybe the session can be rescheduled, because I would love to meet you all again. And now if this happens offline or in an in-person event, you have the lights going off, or you have the music system not working, or the public address system not working, what is best possible? Can you open the windows? Can you open the doors? Is there an open place? Can we do some activities? Maybe team building, something like that. You can moderate and still write down some points related to your lecture or your session or your module or things like that. Now, space issues. Now, this is a big challenge. It all depends upon, I believe in this concept of seeing that comfortable seating, good lighting, and I believe in the principle. Engineers over here in this on this platform would agree. I believe in the HVAC, proper HVAC. Anyone would like to rehearse this word for me? What does HVAC mean? Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Okay. So, see that the temperature is maintained, the conditioning of air is there, the air conditioners are working, or the air coolers are working, or the fans are working, the lights are there. All those things, proper sanitation facilities, proper drinking water facilities, proper hospitality, maybe, what you call Mentos or halls or something like that is given, candy, Alpenliebe or whatever. Those things should be continuously passed around so that you'll be able to feel comfortable. Space is having only those many number of people with whom you can actually train, demonstrate, participate, do activities. Or else it'll be more like a can of sardines. Sardines in the sense forced shut. You may get a classroom or maybe a training auditorium for 30 people and you can fill in 100 people, but that's more of a mob. So you need to be very particular. Whether this happened with me in a school where they told me whether you can take 10th and 12th standard together, that is the SSC and the HSC. I asked the principal a simple question: can they sit for one exam together? She said no. Then I said no. Can we divide it? Okay, fine. Rather than we have 2 hours with the 10th bachas and the 12th bachas sitting together, can we have the 10th standard students sitting in from 10 to 11? 5 minutes break, they go, and 11 to 12 is the 11 to 12 noon would be for the 12th standard. That's much better. The same space utilized for two specific strategic audiences. So certain places you need to be very careful on how you're going to do it. Participant issues. Participant issues could be relating to some discomfort, or maybe when they want to ask you something, the mics are not available. If the mics are not available, pass them chits of paper. Let them write it on a chit of paper, and you could have a shadow trainer or some volunteer bringing that note to you. You can always read out, oh, yes, Anil, you meant to say like this. Yes, Bharti, you meant to say like this. Yes, Rajiv, you meant to say like this. Yes, Deen Dayal, you meant to say something like that. So maybe you can address. Someone wants water. Can the water be arranged? There is no harm. Even if you're a facilitator and the water station is close to you, you pick up a glass of water, and if you give it to a couple of participants, जितना पुण्य आप कमाते हो पानी बांटने में, उससे ज्यादा पुण्य कुछ भी नहीं है. So you don't get belittled if you're going to offer water or you're going to help someone with a cup of tea or something like that. Please go ahead and freak out on that. You will be developing a better rapport and a relationship all the time. Practical limitations, understanding on maybe the time or the any sort of a constraint which you face, you need to do an adjustment. Maybe time constraints are there, maybe resource constraints are there, maybe something what you thought. So it's always better. I mean, I call myself a magician when I go for a one-day workshop. I may carry 10 to 12 games. I may have a huge briefcase or maybe a suitcase or maybe a backpack and a small carry bag. So I may not use all the 12 games or 14 games, but at least 4 I can use. If the 4 are not relevant to that area at that point of time, I still have another 8 more. Spend on the rickshaw, spend on the taxi. It's really worth it if you're able to carry. Please do not carry it when you're going outstation. When you're going outstation, like something like, a deck of playing cards, I would love to buy it in Hyderabad for my training in Hyderabad rather than carry something from Mumbai because I've got it at home. Maybe a football or a volleyball, I can buy it in Madras or Chennai rather than carry that as additional baggage on my flight from Bombay to Madras or Chennai where I'm doing the training. Something like stick-me-ups and rope and balloons and satin ribbons are easily available everywhere. Try to connect with the people, ask the sponsors, ask the host to arrange, and they will arrange. If they are not able to arrange, ask them, give them ideas where it could be available. Everything is practically possible. You don't get those nylon ropes, you may get at least a coil rope. I mean, absolutely anything. So whatever limitations are there, work as per the limitations and go across. You don't get A4 paper, maybe a long book would do. You don't get marker pens, sketch pens would do. If sketch pens are not there, crayons would do. Multiple things, go in out of the box and think, but do not affect. Contingencies are needed to be handled by us all the time. Your contingency monitor guard would say, be prepared and keep up the backup ready. I mean, there's no way that you should be thrown off guard or you should be thrown off balance. See that few minutes, always recommended, have a nice bottle of plain water. I start my session having warm water and then I have plain water, preferably bottled water. Now you'll say plastic is not allowed. Agreed. Anything which is portable, anything which is nice, anything which is from the Eureka folks or anything like that, maybe a water filter or something like that is great. Stay calm and composed. Everything, whatever is bad or whatever is problematic will go. You need to find out a solution. Assess the situation. What exactly is the challenge? Communicate with the participant. Put them at rest. Put them at ease. That's how you're going to handle the process. Improvise, adapt, and flex. Everything can be done. Everything is an improvisation. You can work out things, wonders. I mean, I forgot my index cards which had pictures on them when I went for a training program. Now I wondered, what do I do? Thanks to Google, thanks to Bard, thanks to Chat GPT, I put certain triggers, I put certain keywords, and I got some lovely keywords in the Chat GPT. I wrote it on different colored papers and I folded them and I asked for a big glass bowl or a plastic bowl, transparent. I made it in the form of a fish bowl. So I improvised rather than have the index cards. I ask them to pick out the green colored paper or the blue colored paper at your choice, read out and perform, dance, sing, do this, do that, whatever it is. Seek support and maintain positive attitude continuously. That's the best way you're going to actually survive. Now, this is just a glossary which you need to remember. Very useful. I'll be sharing this, absolutely no worries. Equity and access to everyone. Action learning, learning with action, adult learning. Believe me, friends, we use the word pedagogy very loosely because it's nice and comfortable and it gives a nice twist when I say pedagogy. But andragogy is andragogy, pedagogy is pedagogy. Andragogy has got certain things which are very different. When you talk about WAC is visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Works beautifully with andragogy and pedagogy both. TAT, that is the thematic perception test, works beautifully with the adult learning as well as with the pedagogy for the children. Authenticity, clustering of competency, something related, you'd love to cluster the competency. The code of practice, what needs to be done, what you call as the rules of the house or the code of conduct or the ethics. Contextualization, what is the context? The delivery mode, hybrid, online, on-site, whatsoever. The delivery plan, sorry for the spelling mistake, the delivery plan, how you're going to do it. 2 days, 3 days, online, virtual, combination, whatsoever. The delivery strategy, what is the strategy? The evaluation process, the evidence. Maybe you do a sort of a reciprocal or a sort of an engagement 3 weeks after the final training or the final facilitation to see the improvement, what has happened. That will give you the evidence whether corrective methods need to be followed. Flexible learning, give them the options to freak out, use minimum content and let them freak out, let the participants freak out. Inclusivity, involve and include everyone. Individual facilitation, absolutely, you're going to love to facilitate with each and everyone. Instructional design, mix, match. Now, I mean, when I was teaching one of the classrooms and they were making a presentation, I'm sharing this with you. There is a beautiful artificial intelligence enabled app, which is known as Gamma, GAMMA. I found that we could make free. I could make beautiful presentations free of charge, provided I have a login ID and things like that. Absolutely free and for a couple of usage, whatever it is. So I was able to design my content for certain specific sessions using that. So maybe using artificial intelligence, maybe using customized slides, you got multiple areas where you can pick up those fancy slides and put it to your use. Integrated assessments, what you're going to share with the client if they're paying you. It's like a diagnostic report, a blood test, an angiography being done. Okay, everything, maybe ECG being done, whatever it is. I'm just giving you the name so that you understand it's diagnostic, clinical evidence. You need to sign on that document that this is what is done. These are the numbers. These are the features. This is parametric. This is, the way you do it, either assigning a value or a number or maybe using a Likert scale, assessments are appreciated. Do not be too neutral. Do not be too partial. Understand the rules of the game and do it accordingly. Depending upon the organization, depending upon the money, depending upon the session, depending upon the type of people, and depending upon how the response is going to be, the learner style, the learner support, the learning activities, the learning programs, the moderation required, the professional development involved, the quality, reasonable levels of adjustment, simulation if possible, skills, staff development, self-direction. These are all glossary terms which are very fancy and it could be used in all types of training and facilitation which are very useful. Now, this is basically, we are almost coming towards an end. So we'll have a stress nugget. So this basically says, don't worry and be happy. Prioritize, organize, energize, exercise, revitalize, and recognize. Breathe in, close your eyes, breathe in, sweat and relax. Breathe out, clear, exhale and sweat. This is highly recommended, some sort of an instrumental or something like that. You put the audience at ease, put it, incorporate in one of your slides or say it loud, absolutely, or play the music, absolutely allowed. This rejuvenates you, makes you feel fresh. In fact, I'm much fresher than when I started now because I've breathed in. I've been breathing in strength and freshness, and I've been breathing out any sort of fear, anxiety, and stress. Okay. You have seen this, done this, great. Okay, yes, is facilitation the new normal? No choice. Facilitation is the new normal. Enabling people to perform better, to do better is the need of the hour. Facilitation training essential. I mean, you have the tech training and the tools and how do we do effective virtual training? This leads to, it's like a playbook actually. The two is identifying and appointing of the concerned, maybe external trainers, experts, consultants, and things like that. Three would be to maintain and connect with the learner's well-being, physical well-being, emotional well-being, professional well-being, spiritual well-being, mental well-being, emotional well-being. All types of well-being is required. Four, identify the relevant training and development need areas, the analysis. 5 is aligning resources to the learner. 6, delivering and seeking feedback, iterate and improve. Constantly align with the business realities, the learning outcomes, and the ongoing learning and development culture. Let's do a recap of the training delivery process, which is very important: actual, virtual, or hybrid. The training need assessment, whether it is training or facilitation. Need assessment, having the objectives, designing the course, selection of trainers, continuous improvement. I mean, like for example, you have a session for next week. You decided upon the agenda, you decided upon the training design, but when you do a lot of reference, when you do a lot of collaboration, asking in opinions, sharing with others, you will get ideas. You'll be able to improvise. So that's basically very important. So when you for this continuous improvement, you will have different techniques of delivery, how you're going to implement, how you're going to evaluate. Very important. There is no specific order. Even continuous improvement, I think one more arrow below the training need assessment would also improvise, because if there is a change, modify, remodel. Okay. Otherwise, you can follow the standard clockwise pattern from training need assessment to objectives to design and selection and delivery and implementation and evaluation. But constant improvement is required so that you are able to get the right results. Be human first. That's the most important. Then be whatever you are. I mean, whatever you are. You're a CEO, you're a CFO, you're a CHRO, you're a L&D head, you're a general manager operations, whatsoever. Okay. Hybrid essentials for training: pre-planning, logistics, interactive tools, the pace, the content, and the trainer material. Trainer material is basically known as a trainer kit, or maybe the training aids or support or material whatsoever. Okay. So how do we do something to craft a very virtual and a hybrid training delivery? Tech and tools, just see how it works. Wilt is nothing but virtual instructor-led training. I mean, there's nothing like VILF, which is virtual instructor-led facilitation, but it means the same. You have ILT, which is instructor-led training, which is in person. So tech and tools, you have a tech coordinator who would have the abilities and tools required for the virtual training. You have the subject matter expert, who's normally called as an SME these days, for content development, for abilities to create content for the virtual training. Then you have an instructional designer who uses different software, maybe Articulate, maybe SCOM, maybe iSpring, maybe multiple things to design and upload it on an LMS So the ability is to create an user experience or a learning experience. And of course, you have a resource person who's a facilitator or who does facilitation to do abilities for digital or virtual or remote facilitation. Pre-planning phases for any sort of a training would relate to content, timings, time zones. If you're doing it across, you would have a different time zone in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in Australia, in England, in Scotland, different places. So you need to man the time zone, the invites to be created, the reminders, the expectations, the tools, the logins, the assessments, the logistics, the activities, and the tech support. All those things need to be there in your pre-planning phase. How you make your skill sets much better, making your audience belong here, match with their expectation, accelerate the engagement, use appealing visuals and graphics. So that's basically what you're going to do. Do which is something which is interesting. We are going to run this slightly short so that I would love to interact with you once this slide is over. I'll be sharing all this, no worries. Tech-based skills, understand what platform, what things you could do. Do not blindly follow recommendations. If you're using a new VP, a VCP, in fact, virtual conferencing platform like Zoom or MS Teams and things like that, or maybe StreamYard, or there may be many more. Try to familiarize. Go in for an exercise of practice if you do not know. Having an host is ideal. Testing, retesting, if you are not comfortable, it's better to do. Even the Zoom for that matter, even Google Meet for that matter, if you're not comfortable, do it again. All said and done, have a plan B. If this doesn't work, then what? Comfort of every platform would be very different. Engagement fundas. Engagement fundas are learning to engage with your learners in advance. If it's possible, sharing the agenda, sharing the session, briefs on what to do and what not to do, addressing minor technological issues, keeping the self-induction very simple and very crisp, onboarding very actively so that time is actually what really matters. Attract attention, video, audio, both, appealing content, using of names. Yes, Rajni, yes, Pallavi, yes, Monica, yes, Sunil, yes, Dindal, yes, Vinod. So that helps actually. Prioritize using, encourage raising hand feature. Let the chat be interactive. Having polls. Now, when you're having a poll or when you're having a message, it's recommended that you have one more device, because the moment you put the slide on a full screen, you will not be able to see the chat. So if you want to enjoy the chat, have another device, log in from another device. So that login device could give you a run for the chat. You look on the right and you're able to read the chats and address, oh yes, Jagannathanji, this is your message, or Vinod, this is your message, whatsoever, create polls, have breakout rooms and things like that. Okay. Functional and hard skills for Wilt and Health. Mobile savvy approach, comfortable to use audio, video, conducting breakout rooms, polls and Kahoot and things like that. Screen sharing for docs and slides and content. Access controlled, sign-in, lobby entry, restricted access, public access, controlled access, registration access, multiple things. Chat, controlled, public, private, presenter-based, host. And I mean, 2020 could have been 2023. So attendance, registration, recording. It started from COVID times and it still continues. Reduce distractions. Minimum distractions related to your video and audio. Understandable. Body language, interaction, timing, length of your sessions, the breaks, peripheral inputs like whatever you're using. If you're using a headphone or a earphone or an amplifier or anything for that matter, it needs to be in sync. Vouch for the ADA, attention, interest, desire, and action. Do signposting, herald what's in it for me and what's in it for you. Audio, visual stimulations, value reinforcement, personalization, value addition. Skills to customize when you're creating the content or curating the content. Cognition, recognizing, comprehending, understanding with the mind, interpersonal, specific, interlink, critical, minimum, using pre-work, virtual environment, friendly activities, follow-up, lavish visual aids, feedback, techniques of engagement, collaboration activities. Essential skills, have a hook, I mean, that paper activity or the hook, the knowledge, skills, abilities, and the activities, the agenda, the type, methods, the assessment, the outcomes, the practice, the wrap up and close. These are all certain skills which will be very useful. Special skills for Wilt and Hilt. Hilt is hybrid instructor led. It could be partly online, partly offline. Participants who come in late, participants who encounter difficulties, participants facing technical difficulties, and difficult participants. How do we handle them? We already dealt with some of them earlier. Okay. So now we have an activity time. Now this is dance. Just raise your hands and do a quick motion. Lift your wings, spread your wings, and so. Yes, it makes you feel nice. It makes you feel very good. That's great. It's amazing. Participated and seen and all those things. Yes, this is a beautiful slide which I've shown you in the first session. A trainer or a facilitator is a showmaster, coach, leader, clown, beekeeper, teacher, organizer, networker, moderator, tamer, gardener, and sometimes a cheap cook or a bottle washer. We have time for a video.
We have, sir.
Okay. We'll go.
Yes,
This is a
sir.
small,
Yes,
beautiful
sir.
video. I want you all to see this.
कठिनाई के जो बादल हैं वो पल भर में छट जाएंगे। तू बढ़ता चल, तेरी राहों में जो पर्वत हो हट जाएंगे। आएगा फिर वक्त सुनहरा, साथी पथ पे बढ़ता चल। हम होंगे कामयाब, हम होंगे कामयाब, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन। ओ मन में है विश्वास, पूरा है विश्वास, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन।
Okay, so special thanks to the ISTD Apex leadership. I mean, we have Pragya and Mamta, Meenakshi, Hemlata, Sarita, and of course Gurvinderji, and all other members who have made this actually possible. Lovely, wonderful, and of course a huge thanks to each of you personally for that matter. Acknowledgements and best wishes to each of you. Absolutely. See those wonderful gleaming faces, smiling faces. Yes. These are my coordinates. Just wait. Okay. Okay, now I'll have a few questions before we break up. Thank you so much. Please. It was wonderful being with you all. Remain connected. Do connect with me. I mean, we are available on LinkedIn and my coordinates are available with you. So please. Any questions, any queries?
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Jagannath ji.
Thank
Yes,
you,
it was
sir.
a
It was
pleasure.
very
Thank you so much, sir.
God bless all of you all.
Thank you,
Do your
sir. Thank
exams
you very
and all
much.
things well.
Thank you so much, sir.
Best wishes for a
Thank you,
happy
it
new
was
year.
wonderful.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
sir.
Thank you so
Apurva.
much, sir.
Wonderful,
Thank
wonderful,
you, sir.
absolutely wonderful. Be in touch. God bless each of you all. Wishing you
Thank you,
all
sir.
success.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, sir. If at all we want to be any ideal trainer, it will be you, sir. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. No worries. My number is there with you all. You can always connect, WhatsApp, have messages. That's how the relationship build up anywhere globally. Yes, Mayuri, go ahead, please.
Sir, just wanted to thank you on behalf of everybody.
Oh,
I
wow.
think your energy is something that I've always taken back as a learning.
Okay, thank
And I
you.
hope that each one of us are able to have that conviction to be a facilitator like you. So thank you so
Oh,
much,
wow.
sir, for
Thank you so
your
much,
time and
Mayuri.
for
God
your
bless.
insights. Thanks a lot.
Wow. Great. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Any technical queries, anything you would like to ask, anything? Absolutely, you're comfortable to ask.
I believe no, sir.
Okay. So I think there is silence all across. The meaning is that you all are waiting for a wonderful lunch, which is waiting back. I should not come in between the lunch and this session. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful time. God bless you all. And signing out now.